What's up? What's up? Welcome back to a new episode of the Strong by Ash podcast. And today, what we're going to be doing is doing a Q&A. So I shot out a question box in my Instagram story, and just to shoot out any Q&As that you guys wanted to answer. And we got a few here, so we're just going to get straight into it. And so the first one: how did you come up with the name of Squat Club? How we came up with the name of Squat Club? This was a while ago now, and I wanted to come up with a name that it didn't have the word gym in it, but you knew exactly what it was without saying fitness center or gym or recreation center or anything like that. I wanted to try and find a name that it was something to do with fitness, but then also something to do with the community. And I wanted those two things to combine together. I came up with heaps of different names. And I would go onto the Thesaurus website and try and see what was going to be best for community. What was the best names? Came up with some really cool names, but you didn't know what they actually were, unless you were to Google what those names were. And I wasn't really sold on that. I had this close Facebook group with my personal training clients, and I would shoot it out to them and have a bit of a poll. People liked them, but they weren't loving it. And I remember one night, Trina and I went out for dinner in the city, and we were sitting there, and we were thinking, okay, so how can we name this? What are the three things that I coach a lot of? And it was squat, bench, and deadlift. So we started to come up with those three words and try and put something next to it. So, it was deadlift, and we're looking at deadlift and then something else afterwards. So it was like deadlift group, deadlift barbells, it was things like that. And then we tried squat. We're like, okay, so squat what? Squat community, squat groups, squat bars, squat barbells, something. We're trying to find that community feel. And then we came up with Squat Club, and we looked at each other and we're like, I love that. That's really cool. And we kept saying it over and over again. Squat Club, Squat Club, Squat Club. It just rolled off the tongue. It was really good. And it felt really easy to say. We kept saying it, and then that was kind of it. So that's kind of where it stuck. Squat, and then the club was then also for the community. But, that many times that I get the question where, like they're saying, oh, is there anything you do there is squats? So like, I want to do something else other than squats. Like I get that all the time still. But yeah, it's part and parcel, but I think it's a great name. Easy to market as well. And it's definitely represents our brand to a T. All right, next question. I've got some weird questions in there too. I don't know how people find you on the stories. People that don't even follow you and they just kind of put spam in there. It's really weird. Best advice starting out as a PT. Best advice starting out for a PT would be to surround yourself around people that you look up to and aspire to. You don't want to imitate those type of people, but you need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself around people that are highly educated, extremely supportive, and someone that you aspire to within the business. Remember that you always want to make sure that you're looking to progress for the right reasons. Don't be going to chase money. Do it because you love helping people. You have a passion for helping people, and you want to further your career in helping. So that would be my number one point of advice, is to just surround yourself around supportive and educated people. Why did you bleach your hair? I wanted to bleach my hair for a while. It's probably been maybe a year or so. But with my hair, it's very thin, so I couldn't really do it because it was afraid of getting it, of my hair snapping. And I guess with ISO life now, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, let's just do it. If it snaps, it snaps. I'll shave it off. If not, well then cool. I've got blonde hair, bleached hair, and so that's really the reason why. What's the best way to build a brand? Okay, so best way to build a brand is, well, you got to think about what are you trying to achieve with building this brand, and more likely it could be like a product or a service. But then you got to find out what is that product or service going to, or who is it going to cater for, and what will they use that service for as well. So again, it kind of pulls back into giving value And that's kind of where you need to do what you need to do to build a brand. You need to continuously give value, give. And if you keep chasing and going straight for the dollar signs, or looking for the win and the sale, then you're not going to be able to build the brand like you would want to. People will see straight through you. You need to just make sure that you're authentic, you're real, and you want to make sure that you're helping people. That's the number one thing, is just to give value. I would also say is like kind of express yourself through all different levels of platforms of social media. There's so many different platforms now, and just trying to be consistent face that is giving value, is very relatable, easy to approach as well, and giving information to the audience that you are wanting to give that to. That is the best way to build a brand. Can you explain how to track alcohol? Okay, so with alcohol, it is a macronutrient, believe it or not. So you've got your macronutrients are your protein, your fat, and your carbohydrates. But then there is a fourth macronutrient that we don't usually put into our clients' macros, which is alcohol. So as a quick explanation, you have protein, which is 4 calories per gram. You have carbs, which is 4 calories per gram. Then you have fat, which is 9 calories per gram. And then you have alcohol, which is 7 calories per gram. So what we need to do is make sure that the alcohol is still fitting into our calories of our daily calories. And then what we need to do is there's a couple of easy ways to do it, is that you would scan the barcode of the alcohol that you have. It could be a bottle of wine, it could be a bottle of beer, could be a cider, could be anything like that. So you scan that, and then it will come up with the amount of calories. From there, you can figure out how much of the alcohol you're going to be drinking, and then you can enter it into MyFitnessPal. It'll give you the total calories, and then what you would need to do is that you would need to take out those calories from your carbs or your fats. So something that's easy for me to remember, or for me to follow, is that I kind of take away from my carbs. So what I do is I'll scan, for instance, a bottle of wine. So we'll have a bottle of wine on a Friday night, and we have a bottle each. Oh, sorry, a bottle each. No, half a bottle each, and a bottle Trina and I together. And we put it onto the scales, and we'll pour it out. So we usually get about 250 mils in the bottle, in a glass, and we scan the bottle, and it will tell you exactly how many calories that is for those mils. From there, what I would do for me is that I would divide those calories by 4. And the 4 is coming from the carbohydrates. So like I said before, is that you have 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. So I would go, okay, so 250 calories, divide that by 4, it'll equal 62 grams of carbs. So that's exactly how I would track the alcohol. You can either also do it, take it away from your fats, but I really wouldn't recommend doing it and taking it away from your protein. So that's probably the easiest way to track alcohol. Okay. When do you think gyms will reopen? It's a hard one. No one really knows. I guess we're just kind of like sitting ducks at the moment, just kind of waiting for the government to kind of give us the next go ahead with the steps. Providing that phase 1, this is for New South Wales, providing that phase 1 goes well, we could potentially be looking at, hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe end of June-ish. But I think it's going to be very different to what it was like beforehand. With all these restrictions now and capacity numbers, I think it's going to be a different one. So, but I guess we just have to wait and see. Right now, it's these are all just opinions. So you can't really take someone's opinion. Please don't take my opinion on and that say that that's what's going to happen. Like, no one knows until the government have spoken, and especially with the Premier, until she says something, then we just don't know. As a small business owner, how do you structure your day? Okay, so how I structure my day is that I'll set that up on a Monday, and I'll structure my entire week. And I'll put all my priorities down, and I kind of get most of that stuff, most of my priorities done at the start part of the week. Something new that I've incorporated is I will work out what my annual goal would be. With my annual goal, I will then break that down into a quarterly goal. With those quarterly goals, I will then break that down into a monthly goal. Then that monthly goal, I'll break that down into a weekly goal. And then the weekly goal, I'll break that down into my daily goals. So that's kind of how I do it. And I kind of break that down into 3 goals for each different time frame. And that's kind of how I set that up. And then from there, I try and get the things that are the highest priority, try and get that done towards the first part of the week. So that's kind of how I set that up. But I always have a to-do list, and Monday to Friday. And then as I keep going through my each day, I'll tick that off. And I was a victim of not doing this when I first started. And I felt like I was chasing my tail, and I was just pretty much like treading water. I really wasn't progressing, and I was just trying to keep my head above water the whole time. And that's because I wasn't scheduling and I wasn't setting myself up a structure of what I need to do during the week. But now I've got time where I can schedule time for planning, got time for social media, time to program for my clients, time to focus on building stuff for my team and building stuff for Squat Club. So now it's in a lot more structure, and that's kind of what you need to do, is just making sure that you set yourself some time to structure and set yourself up for the week. Otherwise, you're not going to get ahead, and you're always going to be chasing your tail. What's next for Squat Club? I can't really answer that right now. I've got some big things in the works at the moment, but I prefer not to say anything just yet. But it is quite a big one for Squat Club. Again, I'm just going to stay tight-lipped for now until we get it all up and running. Okay, how did you come to build Squat Club, and what was your biggest challenge starting? When I before I was at Squat Club, or I guess before I was doing personal training, I was in an office, and I hated what I was doing. I just hated it. It was like a normal 9-to-5 job. I know I wasn't good at it because I didn't like it. I'd get out and shoot out the door 5:01, and I didn't want to spend as much time in the office. So my lunch times, I would spend probably like an hour, and I pushed it to maybe like an hour and a half in the gym. And then I would usually eat my food around those lunch breaks too. So my whole day was consumed with my lunch break, which was my gym, just because that was my happy place. My manager didn't like me because I wasn't, giving my best, because I didn't like it. So it wasn't going well. I used to come home upset. I used to cry when I come home as well. I just hated it. And then I was approached by the personal training manager there, which was my business coach. And he said, you know what? I know what you're capable of. I know you've got education, and I know that you can talk. I'd love to have you on board. But at that time, I had not had any certificates or anything like that. It was a scary step for me. I sat on that for a while and had to think. I had a mortgage. Well, I still got a mortgage. I had car loans, things like that too. So kind of going from something that was already a guaranteed income, then going into something where then you have to build your own business is really, it's a really scary thing, especially going from one industry onto the complete opposite. So I sat on that for a while, and then there was a video that I watched, which literally changed my entire life. It was I don't know who it is, but if you were to type in YouTube and write "what if money was no object," it will come up, and it's basically a 2-minute video, and it's basically telling you to chase your passion, because at the end of the day, if you chase your passion and you follow that, that's where your happiness is. It's nothing to do with money or anything like that. It's honestly to do with happiness. So I watched that, and straight after that, I decided to, this is exactly what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. I want to help people, and I think this is my calling. And so I decided to do my courses, and they are literally like a cereal box certificates. It's pretty fast and pretty easy to get the personal training certificate 3 and certificate 4. So I did it online, and I actually do it on the train home every single day. And I smashed it out because I didn't want to be in the office where I was. I wanted to just help people and get into that industry. So I smashed it. I probably took maybe 4 months to complete it. And then I was lucky enough that Mike, he didn't take me. I didn't have any interviews or any application process or anything. He kind of got me on board because he kind of could see the potential, which is I'm very grateful for. And that's kind of where I started. I got in there, but where I was, it becomes a bit more of like a cutthroat industry. I was up against probably 20 other personal trainers in there, and it was in the city. And basically, you've also got to start paying rent too. So like, it was $490 a week. So you get yourself a little bit of leeway when you begin. And so what I did is I had money. I was at the time I was putting money investing into shares. I decided to stop that and then take all that money out. It was only $5,000. So I took that money out. And then from there, I started to pay myself a weekly wage just to help with, like my mortgage and paying for my car and shopping and everything like that. So paying all my expenses. And so I got into the industry and it was really tough. You've got to really like work hard to build up your clientele. And that's the really, really hard part. And like, I'm not a salesman at all. Like I sucked at being a salesman in the clothing industry. Like I was, I used to work at General Pants and I was forever getting pulled back and they'd be saying like, you're not making targets. You're not making the amount of target that you actually have to sell for your shift. You're not making it. And that's because I wasn't a pushy person. I don't like going to a shop and, saying and hearing going, oh yeah, you should have this. This looks great on you. Why have you tried this as well? Put that together. Like if I go to a shop, if I want something, I'll just go and get it. I don't want someone else to come and push me to buy it. So I was never a good salesman at all. And coming into personal training, end of the day, you do have to sell. Like you have to sell your services. So like I found it pretty tough at the beginning. Built some great relationships. Started to get the ball rolling, and then usually what happens with personal training is that if you lose a couple of clients, usually it happens in a bit of a cluster, and it kind of happened for me as well. And you're paying $490 a week, and then you've also got your mortgage and everything. And I lost a couple of clients, and I found it really tough to kind of bounce back from that. And that happened twice in the time I was there. Well, that happened twice pretty much in the first, I'd say 6-7 months, up against other personal trainers. And the 2 times I actually thought, you know what, I'm going to pull the towel. I'm going to throw the towel in. This is too difficult. I can't keep sustaining this. The financial thing, I don't know how I'm going to keep paying my rent for next week as well for the gym. And so I was lucky enough something just happened, God forbid, like it was, I wasn't going to leave, but something happened where I ended up getting 2 clients on, and that was the kind of where I just took the business and I flew through. During that time as well, I was putting stuff out through Facebook. This was before Instagram came out or anything like that. And I was just putting out information and education and kept putting that out. So it was no intention of selling. It was just to try and provide value, provide the service and education so people could learn from that. And that was something that I really prided myself on. I then started getting people contacting me locally saying that they wanted to train with me, but I didn't have anywhere I could train them. So what I did is, if you're watching this video, I actually started personal training in this room. It was like an empty room. It's like just literally an empty room with carpet. And I had like a little barbell set that I bought from Big W. It cost me like $70. Came with like 2 bars for dumbbells and then like a long bar. Like they were only thin, and then like 70 kilos or something like that for weight. And I just started doing that in here, and I was just doing barbell work. And then I had someone else approach me too. So I was like, okay, cool. So I've got 2 clients from home now. I need to change this. I can't do this from this spare room. So I emptied out the garage and I started in there. I bought like a cheap little bench, and then that's where we started to go. As it carried on, like I started to get more and more clients from that. And then I started, usually with me, what I do is if I go in, I go all in. That's what I do. And I decided to start to change the look of the gym and make that into like a fully functional gym. I bought a cable machine. I ended up buying 2 squat racks. I had just like some mats rolled out, and then I would roll them back when I wanted to bring the cars back in. But it progressed so much that I ended up getting proper gym mats, painted all the walls. I ended up putting downlights in there. I put air conditioning in there because it can get cold in the winter and it was getting hot in the summer. And the business started to really take off. I started doing some small group training as well. And it went really well. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm doing well at home, and I'm shifting a lot of my focus to home. So why am I at the gym still? And it's charging me $500 a week. I'm only going in there 2 days a week now. So what about if I was to shift everything and then take everything home? And then from there, I could start to look at maybe how I can progress and build my business. So I decided to try and make that shift and then change over. And so I brought all my business to home from the city. And that obviously saved quite a lot of money from not paying the rent. And then that gave me time to be able to find a location that was going to be for the next step for me. I had no idea that I was going to build the size of Squat Club that I actually did. I actually found a location and I loved it. Beforehand, I had my eyes set on it when it was still just a piece of dirt. And then once they started to build on it, like that's when I went straight in. I put my deposit down. I started to sign things, and then my lawyer pulled me back out of it because it was really it was a really bad contract. I was going to be tied into a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to be tied into. Things that I was liable for that it wouldn't be my fault. So that really hurt. I already had equipment purchased and everything too. So we decided to look for another location, and I was under a lot of stress at that time because I had heaps of equipment coming from overseas. I already built a team as well. So and then everyone was just kind of like a waiting game. I started to put this out onto social media. So I had a lot of stress on myself. I was thankful to find another location that was currently getting built. So it was brand new. And I decided to go for that. It was a lot bigger and also ended up becoming cheaper too. So I did that. And then from there, because it was getting built, I could then build change rooms. I could build my office as well because the builders were in there still being able to, I could modify a few things. So then that kind of was where that was. And then I started to document everything. I put everything through YouTube with how I hired my team, how we built the gym, all the little bits and pieces, the stuff that went wrong. There's always things that go wrong. And so I just built that up there. And then we started after a lot of delays, we started in December. And I had five personal trainers at the time. Two left me within the first probably week and a half to 2 weeks. And then it left me with my two trainers, Luke and Lenka. And they are like a heart of gold, and they're extremely passionate. And it was the three of us, and we worked so hard. We had so much energy, and we just gave a lot of passion and a lot of information and education to help. The gym, because it was so big, we had an empty area, but we were able to bring more people in, and people could see our vision. And it was it was really cool to kind of start off that journey with them. We ended up going from 0 to 150 members in I think I remember putting a photo up saying it was 150th member by February. So that's 3 months. So we went from 0 to 150 in 3 months. And then we kind of continue to tick on. And as more members came in, we could then invest in more equipment and continue to grow the brand. And then we started to bring on, more team members as well. So that's kind of how it all started. I think the hardest part with that, was that the question? I'll have to go on a tangent here. Biggest challenge when starting. The biggest challenge when starting with that was definitely trying to get your name out there. Having any sort of brand or starting off from something and trying to get your name out there is so hard. I've been open now with Squat Club for 3.5 years, and I still get people. I had someone come in the other day to pick something up, and he said, is this a new gym? He's like, I'd never heard of it before. I still get that all the time, that, trying to build your name and expand your brand is extremely hard. And that's probably one of the hardest things when starting something. So, that ties back into what I was saying before, was to keep giving value, keep giving information, and just give. That's what the audience are after. And remember, that's kind of what you're into, that industry or whatever you're doing. That's what you're there to do. You're there to serve. You're there to give them that sort of product. You're there to give them that service. You're there to help. So just remember that, and it ties back into that. So that's kind of where we're at. And then we've just continued to grow. That's a pretty crazy story to hear, coming back onto that. And so yeah. All right, that was all the questions. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was fun, going back down memory lane. And I will speak to you guys later. Thanks so much for listening, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll speak to you later. Okay, bye.